It was a lovely bright morning in Strandhill. Really nice waves today, a southwest wind. Would have been great conditions for the start of our Ocean Warrior Easter surf camp. In fact, the surf was looking good all week, so we are disappointed the surf camp couldn't go ahead, but all the businesses are closed and we're all in the same boat. So today you can see that there's a southwest wind. It's going to go south to southeast on Tuesday. The wind's decreasing all day. The swell heights going up to 3.2 meters, so the swell is going to increase during the day. And we have a 12-second period, which means there's a ground swell, and the swell is from the west. And Magic Seaweed's saying roughly the same thing. It's nicely laid out there. You can see in the top that surf, swell, and wind. So it's nice and easy to read. The difference between Magic Seaweed and Wind Guru is that Wind Guru shows the swell height in meters, and Magic Seaweed shows the swell height in feet. So what Wind Guru is saying is a 3.2 meter swell at 12 seconds. Magic Seaweed are saying at 12 noon today, it's an 11.5 foot swell at 12 seconds. But they also have this surf and swell. So I guess what they're trying to say is that swell is unbroken waves. So the unbroken waves are traveling very, very fast out at sea, and then they come into a shallow bay or a shallow beach. Once the swell starts to feel the bottom, it'll slow down. So as the swell slows down, it increases in height. And then the wave starts to break, or the swell starts to break, when the swell reaches a depth of water which is roughly equal to 1.3 times its height. And as the ocean wave breaks, what happens is the bottom slows down, but the top keeps going. So the analogy is if you're carrying a large stack of plates, okay, so you're walking out of the kitchen with this big large stack of plates, and then you stopped, the plates at the bottom would stop, but the plates at the top would have momentum and would keep going, and it would spill over and crash. So that's kind of what happens with the wave. And so according to Wind Guru, it's a 3.2 meter swell at 12 seconds. And according to Magic Seaweed, it's 11.5 feet. So I guess that means that a 3.2 meter swell is equal to 11.5 foot swell. But to be honest, I'm not at all too sure about that. And the swell and the surf, so when the swell is out to sea, it's 11.5 feet. But the surf produced from that, because you're not surfing the swell, you're surfing the surf, will be 6 to 9 feet. So I'm not too sure where Magic Seaweed get all that information, and I don't really go along with the whole feet. I prefer to see the swell height in meters because I'm looking at the ocean swell, which is what you can predict. There's so many other factors that go into deciding actually how big the surf's going to be, like the direction of the swell, the strength of the wind, the direction, all that kind of stuff. Because here are the actual waves at Strandhill this morning at noon. So it's neither 6 to 9 foot or 11.5 foot. I would say these waves are 2 to 3 foot. Someone else might say they're 4 to 5 foot. But if someone says they're 10 or 11 feet, basically they're lying to you. So what you have to understand is that when surfers use the term feet, they're not really talking about real feet, they're talking about surfers' feet. Okay, so I know that's kind of weird and complicated, but that's basically how it works. And what's more complicated is the feet that surfers use in, let's say, Europe, and a lot of the surfers use meters in Europe as well, like the French, for example. The European feet is different to the Hawaiian feet, because the Hawaiians have such big waves, they're used to kind of almost describing the waves smaller than we would. So you might say it's like 4 to 6 foot Hawaiian, and that could be 10 feet European. So I know you're surely now really confused, but let me just explain. If I came down to you this morning and said, okay, there's 11.5 feet waves at Strandhill today, and I showed you this picture, which is like 3 foot waves, what would we say when we went to Mullaghmore on a like 6 or 7 meter swell, and we saw like really big waves when a surfer took off, that the waves like 5 or 6 times over his head? We'd have to say that wave's like 300 feet tall or something. So it just doesn't simply work like that. So when you call a wave 5 foot, you have to remember that you're implying that if a wave came in twice as big, it'd be 10 foot. But you have to understand that a 10 foot wave isn't just twice as big as a 5 foot wave. It's 4 times as big, because it's moving twice as fast, it's twice as tall, it's twice as wide, it's twice as thick. It's got 4 times the amount of volume as a 5 foot wave. So it's kind of, basically you learn to describe wave heights over time through your experience. And also that's why I use both Wind Guru and Magic Seaweed. I will compare the two of them, and then I'm not just reading the swell straight from the website, I'm also using my experience how to predict the waves. So if you're new to all this, a much simpler way would be to describe the waves as being knee height, waist height, shoulder height, head height, or overhead height. So a knee height wave is like a 1 to 2 foot wave. A waist height wave is 2 to 3 foot. Shoulder height is maybe 3 to 4 foot. A head height wave is 5 foot or 6 foot. And then an overhead wave is 6 foot. It's over 6 foot. So if you saw someone paddle out and surf some of these waves on a longboard, they caught a wave, the waves are probably up to their knee or up to their waist, maybe even up to their chest. So it's 2 to 3 feet. That's how I would call it. Right, so I'm sure that's clear as mud. So moving swiftly on, the last thing I want to talk about is rips. So when we're looking at the sea today, can you see a rip? There's white water on either side. In the middle, we have the dark line running through it, which is your rip current, right there in front of us.